Hello and welcome to Cool Coffee with Kansas Principals. By and for school administrators, this podcast is intended to promote candid discussion and insight about our great profession. My name is Rick Sola, and as Communications Director for the Kansas Principals Association, I am the host, but I am certainly not the feature. Sit back, take a sip, and enjoy. This is Cool Coffee with Kansas Principals. Let's get started. All right, thank you for joining in on another Cool Coffee with Kansas Principals. This episode features Mr. Eric Sacco, Pre-K-8 principal from Clifton Clyde School District, USD 224. He is a KPA board member, NAESP rep for the state of Kansas, and also featured on this podcast on the Cool Coffee Principal Perspective number 6, Keeping Your Mind and Body Right, which was a great episode. You can check that out. And as of December 3rd, which is actually recording today, newly published in the Under the Umbrella magazine, sharing the why to joining the KPA. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, thanks very much, Rick. Glad to be here.
Appreciate you being here. Before we get started, I want to invite listeners to the show notes. You can check out and find a Google form there where you can leave some feedback about the show, suggest a guest and or topic, or even suggest yourself with a topic to discuss. In addition, I will include a link to what I just mentioned, the Under the Umbrella, where you can read more about Eric's why of joining the KPA, as well as articles and features from building and state level leaders from across the state. So you can check that out in the show notes. Before we kind of get started, I'm going to kind of point out in just kind of I think I'll just say thank you as a good example, and you probably don't know where I'm going with this, but yesterday we were actually going to record, and you reached out and said, oh my gosh, I just got my son's basketball schedule. I've got to go to this, the game, or was it Jamboree, or what was it?
It was their Jamboree last night, yeah. Okay.
And so we rescheduled, which is no problem at all, but I appreciate that, and I think it kind of just touched on, I think it's relevant to all of us principals. We have busy jobs. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of opportunities, but there's also our home life, our more important, and our family, and that balance is so critical. And so it was just kind of another good example, even though kind of just an aside from getting this scheduled, and I just wanted to bring that up because that is something I think that we all work through and deal with, and there's times where work and conflicts do come up, and we make those sacrifices, but we also are very fortunate to have a lot of flexibility in what we do oftentimes, and we can be a part of that. So anyway, that was kind of an aside, but I just thought that was really cool. And I'm also the basketball dad, a high school with my oldest son being on the team out here, and so we had our Jamboree last night, and we have late night tonight, so all sorts of good things going on.
It's an exciting time of the year, that's for sure.
It is. So, we're a couple days after the Thanksgiving break. Just you're 2 days in, and we got now the sprint to the even bigger break. But first 2 days going okay for you, Eric?
Yeah, they are going real well. Like you said, yeah, we're 3 weeks out from Christmas break, so kind of a tight squeeze here to kind of get some last second things in. But the first 2 days have gone great.
What's on the docket for the next 3 weeks, or less than that now?
There's a lot. We started off yesterday. We kicked off our fast bridge testing, our mid-year fast bridge. So most grade levels right now are hot and heavy into that. Like you mentioned, basketball. There just seems to be games almost every night between middle school games and high school games, and so traveling to a lot of those. And then just trying to end the first semester on a good note.
Yep. There's a lot going on, and certainly I think every building can point to many events. There's a lot of culminating activities for a semester, and in some ways, like you mentioned, basketball kind of starting off, kickoff or tip-off, I guess, better for basketball, but a lot going on. Eric, I like to ask about the road to the chair and kind of what has led you to where you're at today, but you also have a couple leadership positions outside the building, the NAESP and the KPA. So kind of a brief, your road to the chair, but also what it means to you to wear the hats that you wear with both of those organizations.
Yeah, well, the road to the chair, I guess, I was born in New York, That's where both my parents grew up. I moved to Texas when I was a little over 1. So basically raised in Texas my whole life. Graduated high school there. After high school ended, had the opportunity to play a little college basketball. So that brought me up to Kansas. Went to Bethany College. Met my wife there, and she's a Kansas native, and so she kept me around. I taught for 10 years at Halstead Middle School, taught 4th grade there for 10 years. Buddy of mine who I taught with was going in to get his master's in administration, and I, at the time, really didn't have any interest in it, but he was starting his master's, and so he talked me into joining him. So we took our classes together, and once I finished that, started applying around, and a job popped up here at Clifton Clyde. It's where my wife is from. She's from the area. She graduated from Lynn High School, which is just down the road, so it got us up closer to her family, which is very important. With my family living down in Texas, it was important to us to have, one set of grandparents around within close range. So we moved up here and been here ever since. This is year 13 for me here.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm interested in, you said you had no admin interest. What flipped? What switch was turned on to change your gears?
I really don't know what the flip was. Like I said, a buddy of mine was getting his master's, and he talked me into it. And so I kind of figured, after 2 years of taking all the courses and getting my master's in admin, I might as well put it to use. And so that's kind of what led me here. And like I said, I've enjoyed 13 years so far. I've enjoyed it all. It's been a good switch. I really enjoy the role that I'm in right now.
Yeah. I asked that because that's exactly how I felt. I made the decision to go into administration, but I didn't necessarily see myself in it. And then at some point, I found myself really interested, and things just take off and go.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it is for a lot of us. You are very active in both the KPA, and I've enjoyed in my time with the KPA, serving on the board with you on that, but also NAESP. What do those hats look like as it relates to you as a building principal, but even as a leader in a different capacity?
Yeah, I've been very active in KPA. It used to be KAESP prior to the two joining. But been very active in it most of my admin career. Got started early on, was asked to join the board, and just kind of stayed with it. Really enjoy it. More of a networking piece. Being a small town 1A principal, I'm the only principal here in my town, so you don't really get to kick many ideas around with any other admin in the district. So KPA, NASP, that gives me kind of an outlet to collaborate with other administrators, meet with other administrators, talk to them, steal a bunch of ideas from them. So that's kind of what has kept me in KPA, NASP. It's just that collaboration piece with other administrators. 3 years ago, was asked to be the NAESP rep for Kansas, so I accepted that role, and that's been another great role. I really enjoyed that. Kind of a liaison between NAESP, which is the National Association, and KPA, our state association. So basically, they're just kind of kept in the know of what's happening in the world of education nationally, and be able to bring that and report it back to our state board, our KPA board. A lot of traveling opportunities that go along with it as well. Every November, we have a Zone 8 retreat that I get to go to, and I just got back about a month ago from Little Rock, Arkansas, was where the retreat was this year. The previous year was in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then the year before that got to go to New Orleans. So some trips that I wouldn't necessarily take on my own that I've been able to experience. Also, every March, get to go to the National Advocacy Conference in Washington, D.C., get to meet with all the state reps there, and we actually get to go up on the Hill, the Capitol, and advocate for public education. So that's been an eye-opening experience, a nerve-wracking one when I first started that, but been a couple times now, so it gets a little easier each time to go up there and talk to your senators and representatives. And then in July, I get the chance to also represent Kansas at the national conference.
Yeah.
So again, lots of travel opportunity that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, that could be a whole different topic, talking about what it's like up on the Hill, like you said, talking with senators and people in decision making roles that make big decisions and impactful decisions, and can certainly could see that intimidation factor
Yeah.
setting in. So that maybe another show, but one thing I've noticed, and I follow you on your X account, and I see a lot of the trips that you've taken as a part of these organizations. But kind of segues into really one of the interests I wanted to talk to you more about was just exactly that, your social media presence with your school. And I even today, as I was getting set up here, and I saw just about 45 minutes ago from this recording, you posted a celebration for a kiddo in your building. You do such a nice job of featuring the kids in your building, and I've noticed things where you're having meals with kids, positive office referrals, academic accomplishments, and even one right before Thanksgiving. I'd love to hear more about this too. A student that had a handwritten note that she made to every one of the classmates in the building, but just a lot of really great celebrations. And I just wanted to hear more about it and kind of have you talk to it, because you're very active on the social media with your school.
Sure. Yeah. When it comes to that, my philosophy is why not? I mean, we all have great things going on in our building. Why not share it? Why not brag about the kids that you have? Why not brag about the staff that you have, the great things going on in your building? And so, an easy way to do that is to share it on social media, share it with the parents. We do a like you said, a positive office referral, where any staff member can nominate a student for doing something great around the building. I call them down in my office, share the positive office referral with them. We take a picture, they get a little prize, and then I share that with the parents as well. I'll text them, email them that picture, and kind of brag their kid up as well. And like I said, post it on X, on Instagram, and just kind of share that out. Like I said, there's a lot of great things going on, and you and I know, the world of education is not always spun in a positive light. And if we have any chance to redirect that and share the great things going on, then it's always a positive.
I love the idea of just telling your story. Just like you mentioned, sometimes the story can be told from people outside the building, and we have an opportunity to show it on the inside. And so, for your students, do they know? Do they realize that they're going to be posted on their social media so their parents to see it, or is that something they aspire to, or is it more like, oh wow, I just got recognized, or how does that work?
It's funny because I have pre-K through 8th grade, so you kind of see that difference between an elementary student being recognized versus a middle school student being recognized. Your younger grade school students, they're pretty excited about it for the most part, being called down to the office, getting their picture taken. Then I have a bulletin board up in the hallway that I print those pictures off, and we post them out there. So throughout the year, if at any time you get a positive office referral, your pictures up there for the entire school year. So kind of, like I said, sharing them as much as possible. It's funny though, the older kids, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, they don't want to enjoy it as much, but there's sometimes you can tell they really do enjoy it. Especially when I tell them that I'm going to share that with their parents, send them a text, an email, and share that picture with them and brag them up, because they're on social media quite a bit, and I would venture to say not everything they're looking at or browsing is always positive as well. So putting that out there and bragging about them, and their peers can see it, their friends can see it, their family can see it, and it's just, like I said, why not do it?
Yeah, I love the board the whole year. So where's that board located in your school?
Right out in the hallway. So right outside so I actually have two buildings. At the grade school, it's kind of right by the library, in between the boys and girls restroom. There's a big bulletin board there. And then here at the middle school, it's just right outside the office as well.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing that in particular? Taking pictures and being intentional about posting them, and not just posting them, but printing them and putting them out there for everyone to see.
Oh, wow. I would say probably 5, 6, 7 years. I've been doing it quite a while. The idea started, I saw it on social media. I used to call it Good News Call of the Day, is what it was. It's just a hashtag on, back then, Twitter. Good News Call of the Day, and it was just, again, a group of principals that were doing that. We're making phone calls, sharing on social media. I thought it was pretty neat, so I kind of stole that. And over the years, past few years, it's evolved to a positive office referral. So I've been doing it quite a while.
Yeah, and one of what led me to that question was just I'm curious of the impact that this alone has had on your building and culture, maybe with your kids, but even with staff that see that and recognize it. And I'd venture to guess that some students maybe they needed that win. Maybe that was something that it was a celebration that maybe they haven't had in a while, and but they're there on the board. And so is that anything you can speak to as far as what you feel like is an impact on? I mean, at this point, it's part of your building culture. It's an expectation, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's I always try to tell our staff members, try not to look at what happened in the past with the student, because you have your students that, they do a lot of negative things, and they don't get that positive praise all the time. So, don't look at what's gone on in the past. If they do something well, celebrate it. There's some students that that, it might be one or two things that they do, and, at that moment when they do something that's positive, something good, capture it. Capture that moment. Because that little thing can spark something in a student and drive them to do more positive things. I think it has become kind of a culture. Try to catch those kids doing good things. Even your quiet kids that always do what they're expected to do, they're not always recognized either. And so catching those kids who are the quiet ones that always do the right things, catch them in a moment and share that. Brag on them. So I don't know. I enjoy it. It's probably one of the best parts of my day when I can call a student down for a positive aspect in the office.
I think that's what's really cool, and that's what I noticed is the pictures that I have seen posted just seem so genuine and so celebratory. It's like you said, a good news post of the day. You can see the joy in the kids' faces, and oftentimes you're making a goofy face or silly face or whatever with them. And it is funny because I did notice, I hadn't thought about it, but I did notice with the elementary kids, you could tell they have a different kind of feel with it versus some of the older kids. But that's.
I was asking me. I said, hey, do you want a selfie with me, or do you want a picture on your own? And so some kids want to do that selfie with me. The other some other kids just want to do that picture all by themselves. They're too cool to get a selfie with the principal. But some of the older kids still enjoy that. I want to make the office a place that's not always negative. So much of the time, the office has a negative connotation with it. It's a place where you send students when they're doing something they're not supposed to. But it doesn't always have to be that. Why not? Why can't the office be a place you go to celebrate? A place where students go when they do something good. And so that's kind of my philosophy around that is, the office doesn't have to be negative all the time. Keep it positive as much as you can.
Is there an instance that jumps right to the front of your mind, like, oh man, this, you do celebrations, it's fun all the time, but there's one that really was special or stuck out? Is there any that really kind of come to you?
Yeah, as a principal that's had my kids in the building, those, when my child gets nominated for a positive offer, it always makes you feel good as a parent. So those always stand out. My two oldest kids are out of the building now, so they're both in high school. But I have a younger one, my kindergartner, that's still here with me. So he got nominated last year as a preschooler. So that one stands out. Your own kid when you get to celebrate them.
So you had the one right before Thanksgiving where it was a young girl that wrote a note, I think, to every student in the building.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, her teacher brought me down the positive officer referral and said, she had come to school and she had a handwritten note for everybody in her class, and the handwritten note was what she's thankful for each kid in her classroom. So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I had never seen something like that before, but she was called her down and shared that with her and asked her about it, and she said she just wanted to tell everybody what she's thankful for. So that was pretty cool.
That's incredible, and she's got a whole bunch of stories, I'm sure, about the kids that got that and received that. And
that was a second grader that did that.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And we have kids are amazing, and it never ceases to amaze me what they're capable of. And but a lot of it, I'm sure, the culture you're building and celebrating there, it helps prompt those kinds of things too. But what a great story. Yeah, that's pretty heartwarming. So I was going to ask, and you kind of hit on this, but it's not just an X thing, because one thing I discovered was a lot of our parents, I don't know that X is like their number one stop, or at least the people that, the parents that are wanting to see these things. Facebook would be one. Instagram, I know nothing about, but we did create a Facebook page this year. But so you mentioned Instagram. Is it X and Instagram, or do you have Facebook too? Or
I have for our school, I have the X account, and then it's basically a personal account, but I do mostly school stuff on there. But then I have an Instagram account for our school as well. We do have a Facebook account. It's more of a district account, and so we use kind of that as more of informational stuff to get out to families. So I try to tend to flood my Instagram and my X account with all those positive things. And a lot of your parents, a lot of them are on Instagram.
Yeah. My wife tells me that.
Yeah.
You need to get on Instagram.
I have the school account, that's it. I don't have a personal account there.
Yeah. So the next 3 weeks I mentioned you spoke about, but what's your personal goal over the next 3 weeks?
I thought about that when I saw that on your sheet. I think for me personally, professionally, I should say, my professional goal would be not only to survive these last 3 weeks, because it's gonna go quick, but professionally just try to set everybody up for a successful second semester. And that's by finishing out these last 3 weeks as strong as we can. There's a lot going on, but we got to just keep in the back of our mind, hey, we're going to have a break coming up soon, so let's finish it out strong. Let's go hard to the end.
Yeah, it's very much a sprint, and I was just talking with staff yesterday. There's so much positive. There's a lot of positive. There's a lot of fun events. It can also be a grind. It can be stressful. We don't know what's going on at home but it is a very exciting time in the schools with all the spirit days and things. But exactly right. Finish strong and let's start the next semester equally as strong. So,
and we'll be kicking off Thursday. We're going to kick off our 12 days till Christmas. We always do. We've done for the last handful of years. It's the last 12 days before break. Kind of have a little theme each and every day leading up to break. So we'll send that out on Thursday and start kicking that off. Different dress-up themes, food themes, just kind of something every day to get staff a little more motivated when they're here. We invite all the kids to do all of our dress-up themes that we do throughout the month as well. So be a lot of different things going on.
That's fun. I'll be looking for some pictures on X because I'm not on Instagram. So
absolutely.
Real quick, it is that time of year. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of holiday movies?
Yeah. So Mount Rushmore. That means your top four, huh?
You're the four that you're gonna put on a monument.
Okay, so I thought about this a little bit. I'm not a huge movie guy, but I do have kids at that age that enjoy it. So I would say number one, because of my kids, they always watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So that's one every year.
The cartoon or the Jim Carrey version?
They like the Jim Carrey version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. They like the Jim Carrey version of that. So I'd say that for sure. I don't think you can go wrong with Elf. That's a good one. Home Alone is a classic. And then I would say Christmas Story.
Oh, yeah.
Would be the other one.
That's one of my can't miss every year.
Yeah. But then I got to thinking too, looking back at the days where we didn't have streaming services growing up as a kid, I always, when it came to Christmas, you always waited for NBC or ABC to show Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Frosty the Snowman, some of those old classics that were only seen on TV one night a year.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Those were, I still remember turning the dial on my non-cable television and tuning into.
And you had to tune in or you missed it.
Yeah, no, those are good times. Those are good movies. That's good. There's a strong list there. Christmas Vacation is a top one. One of the top
I had that one on the list too. Yeah.
And there's several to choose from, but 'tis the season, so I thought I'd ask.
What's yours? What's your top 4?
Gosh, so this is. I'm going to put Polar Express up there, but the personal reason behind that is a tradition in our family. Somehow it developed where the first day of every break, we camp out in the living room and we turn on Polar Express and have hot chocolate. So there's a lot of good memories with that. Christmas Story is in there. I have Elf. Christmas Vacation. It's a Wonderful Life is a really good one. I enjoy that one. I just saw The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, which is in theaters.
The new one?
Okay. The new one. And there's something about that really hit me. It's about a group of kids who kind of challenging group of kids, but it's a very sweet story. And I don't know if I should mention this one on a podcast, but I'll go ahead. I'm going to mention Bad Santa, and maybe that's embarrassing to mention, but I will say it's not a family friendly movie. I'll admit that, but there is something sweet about the main character, Billy Bob Thornton, and the kid who gets picked on in school, and he kind of rallies around him. But I'm not going to give that a full endorsement on this podcast. But that is one that at least I haven't seen that in years, but that was one that came to mind. So darn, I think I spoke too much on that. I wish you wouldn't have asked me what my top 4 were. Well, Eric, hey, I really appreciate your time and making time for this, because there is so much going on and both personally and professionally. So being on here, nice job on the Under the Umbrella article. A lot of good voices that you use there about kind of the why KPA, and there's just a lot of good, like I said, voices. Some that have been heard here but are very active, and it's very personal for a lot of people. So I hope you can check that out if you haven't. Other than that, I really appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best the next 3 weeks. And we'll see you out there on X and Instagram.
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Check the notes section for more information on this episode and to learn more about the KPA and its mission to develop and support all principals through optimized learning, collaborative leadership, networking, and service. Be sure to check back in for our next episode and spread the word about cool coffee with Kansas principals. Catch you next time.